Another explainer. So, have you ever been just, wandering down a grocery store aisle, looked at a product, and instinctively felt like, yeah, that's the healthy choice, purely because of its color? Well, today, we are decoding a seriously effective tactic used in the food industry. We're calling it the green packaging gimmick. And we're going to look at the actual data behind Maggiata noodles to see if our eyes are, well, playing tricks on us. Okay, let's dive into this. Our source material kicks off by calling this tactic a gimmick, which everyone should be aware of. And, really think about that word for a second. Gimmick. When marketers sit down to design a product's exterior, absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, is left to chance. Literally every single hue, every font choice, it's all meticulously engineered to send a very specific, targeted message straight to your brain, way before you even read a single word on the box. So, the core psychology behind this whole thing relies heavily on the color green. You see, supermarkets are inherently overwhelming environments, right? Just bombarding us with thousands of choices. So, to save energy, our brains actually rely on these color coded mental shortcuts. Marketers use green super deliberately because we are practically biologically hardwired to associate it with nature, vitality, and health. When our eyes process green packaging, our critical guard just naturally lowers. We subconsciously tell ourselves, okay, this looks natural. This must be the healthier choice. It's this instant psychological shortcut that completely bypasses our logical thinking. It's wild. Let's look a little closer at how our source material actually phrases this. It explicitly notes that the color green is associated with nature, a paid padha. Now, for those of you who might be unfamiliar with that phrase, paid padha basically translates to plants and trees. By cloaking this highly processed packaged product in the visual language of plants and trees, the manufacturer is creating this immediate, almost primitive link in your mind to natural, earth-grown goodness. They're essentially, borrowing the credibility of nature just to sell a packaged good. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we are talking about. On one side, we have your regular Maggie in that iconic, bright yellow packaging. It's a color that just screams fun, fast, easy, classic, right? But then, with the Atta noodles, we see this massive visual shift to a deep, earthy green. Guys, it is the exact same brand, sitting on the exact same shelf, but that deliberate branding choice of green, it's completely designed to shift your perception. It takes it from a quick comfort snack right over to a wholesome, healthy, natural meal. Now, Maggie certainly isn't acting alone in utilizing this visual trickery. It's actually a much larger industry-wide trend. Brands across the spectrum, like Himalaya, for example, heavily utilize green packaging to their advantage to create what's known in the biz as a health halo. So even if you're buying a completely different category of product altogether, that green wrapper acts as this silent, powerful guarantee of health and natural purity. It's relying on those exact same psychological associations we just decoded. So the crucial point is, what happens when we finally look past that visual facade? We've pretty firmly established that the packaging is doing a massive amount of heavy lifting to convince you of its health benefits. But you know, and I know, the real truth is never found in the color of the wrapper. Nope, the truth is always buried right there in the fine print on the back of the packet. If we truly want to understand what we're consuming, we have to contrast this lush, green, natural facade with the stark, objective reality of the actual ingredients inside. Which brings us to arguably the most important question of this entire explainer. When you buy a packet of these healthy green noodles, presumably packed with all the absolute goodness of vegetables, how much spinach does this thing actually have inside it? Let's play a little guessing game based on the data here. If the entire marketing strategy, like the absolute core reason this product stands out on the shelf in that vibrant green wrapper, is to signal health and leafy vegetables, what do you think the actual spinach content is? Are we looking at a robust 15%? Maybe a solid 10? Could it be just 2%? Or could it actually be even lower? It honestly borders on the comical when you start to really measure the ratio of clever marketing against the actual vegetable matter they're providing. All right, here is the absolute reality check. 1.2%. Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. Out of the entire product you are paying for and consuming, you are getting exactly 1.2% spinach. The overwhelming remainder, 98.8% of it, is just made up of standard ingredients. You are, for all intents and purposes, buying a cleverly designed green wrapper to get a fractional amount of actual leafy greens. That visual gimmick is literally doing over 98% of the heavy lifting to convince you that this is a healthy choice. Crazy, right? And that brings us to our final takeaway. The next time you're rushing through the grocery store trying to get your shopping done and your eye is caught by that vibrant, healthy-looking green packaging, will you pause to check the ingredients or will you just trust the color? Marketing is an incredibly powerful tool, but an informed consumer? That's unstoppable. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.